Hi, my name is Tim Bradrick, and this is my code discussion for my capstone project, Scoundrel Squirrels, Milestone 7. Let's see here. This week, I was tasked with trying to begin creating the adventure area, the more intense competitive section of the game. The scene that I was working on, let's see here. Yep, that's the correct one showing. Let's switch over. There we go. This is as far as I've gotten. The biggest problem I had this week was getting the telephone poles in a climbable state. I spent multiple hours trying to get it to work correctly. What I eventually did is I backed up to a working state. I had the tree as climbable in my neighborhood scene. If I can get that loaded real quick. And I mean, what I had to do is to just grab a copy of this tree, made a prefab of it, and moved it over into the adventure area and replaced the sprites with the telephone pole sprites, and it worked. I couldn't figure out um, what it was I was doing wrong that would prevent this from working, but just replacing the sprites and adjusting all the colliders, the different areas and so forth on there is what finally got it to work correctly, and that's what I was able to do. This is some very simple coding that I had also done with this week's activities. Let me get back to the neighborhood. Here, I made a copy of one of the houses and a telephone pole. Put a collider on the house. When the squirrel approaches, this button shows up, and then that button allows the player to move into the adventure area. And then in the adventure area, the intent, what I will do is have a starting line here, and once the player crosses the starting line, a timer will start, and then they will be able to record a time, and then they can compete against themselves with a timer, going through the various adventures here. If the player chooses to, they can go back to this area back here and exit out of it. Right now, the only thing that I have of any interest is the telephone poles, and that you saw in my game demonstration, the player is able to climb up here, run across the telephone wire. This insulator is supposed to be a hazard. If they touch the, uh, the loose wire, they will lose some health. And then at the top of the telephone pole will be a prize of some sort. And then they can jump off and continue on with the adventure. And then, of course, the remaining sections, a maze, moving through trees and telephone poles, jumping onto the roofs of houses and so forth, and trying to find the most efficient way. And then at some point there will be a finish line. The finish line will finish the timer, and that time will be recorded for them. Um, so that's what I have so far this week. Uh, in addition to the scene here, let's see some of the things that I had done with the code. One of the things I accomplished was cleaning up the animations for the NPC squirrel. The problem was getting the clothing to update. I had put a clothing section in the NPC squirrel. Let's zoom in on him, and let's find him on. It's intended that he's going to be selling the players more clothing, plus just form a template for any other NPCs that I create. I had applied various gear to the different slots here, and those slots weren't updating correctly. What I had to do in the code is to load in a public value, and that public value is referring to the sprite sheet where the clothes are. For example, this squirrel right here wears rose specs on his head slot, and just had to load in the name there, and then it goes through and updates all the children of the sprites, and that would include the specific positions as it's animating and so forth. And then I had to go and do that for each of the slots, and then the foot and the head slot. So this code here goes through and updates the children slots and the sprites. Entering the adventure, that's the house and the telephone pole. Very simple, straightforward. I made it generic enough so that as more adventures are added, that I could load in the scene number and choose the scene number based on what other sprites or pictures are in the scene. The button itself is displayed or hidden based on the proximity of the player, and that's the on trigger, enter, and exit. We'll come back to that here in a moment. And then exiting the adventure itself, going back to the bushes, and there's just a collider in the bushes. And if the player and that player is on the ground, go back to the home section. One of the things that I had also worked on is adjusting the values of the movement for the squirrel, and I did that in the squirrel controller. What I did is, instead of doing a multiplication formula here, reverted back to addition for the different values, including the jumping. And then what I attempted to do, and was not completely successful, though it was improved a little bit. When the squirrel jumps while he's climbing on something, he falls back down to a level equal with the point where he started his jump. So what I attempted to do was to test whether the squirrel was on the ground or not. Only when he's on the ground should he fall back down to the same position when he started jumping. If he's jumping while he's in a tree, he should fall back down to the ground. So when he starts climbing, that start climbing value should be what it's set to. So this should only be set when he's on the ground. Okay, now, it had also been requested by my instructor to discuss some additional things here. Measure of completeness for this milestone. I do not feel like I have completed this milestone. There were some significant distractions for me this week between work and family obligations. When I am working on it, I'm working very hard, but I just did not have the time to get more of it done. I am hoping to do more so next week, which I would be happy to discuss in a more private setting. Let's see here. In my screencast, please include a few extra minutes dedicated to measures of completeness and a reflection on the progress. Okay, measures of completeness for this section, for the adventure section, I would like to get to a point where the timer starts, the game starts, the player has some fun things to do, and there's a reward given at the end if they beat their previous time or if they beat their opponent. That would be a measure of completeness for that section. Let's see here. Reflection on the project progress. Well, I feel like I've made a lot of progress, but I also feel like I have a lot to go. There is a lot of polish that I need to put into this before I would feel comfortable publishing it on one of the game stores. But I am learning quite a lot. Um, there are lots of little intricate details that I am learning about, um, and it's challenging to me, and I've been enjoying the challenge. Um, I think one of the biggest challenges is the time management, not the technical skills. The technical skills I can plow my way through. It just takes time. I do not have experience in software development. I have a degree in computer science, but I've not worked any full-time job as a software developer. So the experience is not there, and I'm noticing that that's a significant impact on the time that I take to spend on all these different projects. Um, it's been enjoyable, absolutely, and I'm learning a lot, but it's just slow going in my mind, um, and that's one of the biggest projects. Let's see here. I feel like I did get a significant dent into getting started on this part. I have a basic rough idea of how I want to see the adventure section proceed, but time is running out, and I need to get this turned in. So that's where I am at right now. I will continue working this week and until the end of the month, of course. Um, and I think I got a good start on it. So we'll see how it goes. I feel like I still need to call back some of the expectations, bring back the scope of what I am trying to accomplish. Um, when I first started this whole process, kind of clueless as to uh, the, the the grand scheme of things, the big picture. Now that I'm elbow deep into it all, I can see that I needed to scale back earlier. Would have helped me along a lot better. Um, but I'm hoping that I can produce something that's enjoyable. Having tested it with users in the past few weeks, they seem to be enjoying it, and I hope that I can continue with that. Thanks. Bye bye.